Looking at worship arts, those are right on target. Education is on target. Congregational functions, again on target. Church-wide tech, we might have a little bit of a problem with that because we are now having the church serviced rather than having our custodians take care of it. That could possibly go over budget. We don't have an estimate at this time how much that could possibly be. But if you have any questions on that, we can talk about that specifically. Something else that's of a problem is on office business. Property requirements. Utilities. After 4 months, we are already at 56% of budget. So we have definitely underestimated the utilities. And it looks like NV Energy may be they are going to be requesting rate increases. Don't know when or how that will affect us. So in November, please be prepared to see those numbers not look real good either. How bad they're going to get, it really depends on how hot it gets this summer, how much we have to air condition this facility and the White House next door. The really wonderful news, and that was sarcasm, has to do with our health insurance. Our health insurance benefits are going up effective July 1st by almost 19%. Wow, yeah, I heard that. Yeah, so there's no way we can say, oh, sorry guys, you gotta pay the difference, because that's not part of our employment package. So there's going to be significant increase just for the 2 people who are currently covered by our insurance. That's going to be to the tune of about $6,000. We're going to be discussing later a 3rd person who will again impact the bottom line on the budget. I do have a proposed budget here. I'm thinking that since we haven't voted on the last item for the health insurance, that we discuss the budget revisions as a whole once we decide what's going to happen with that. But it looks like we're still going to finish this year in black ink. But a lot of that is due to the fact that we have not hired a DCE or anybody else. So these escalated costs are going to come directly off of that line item. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the state of the finances for the church?
Hold on.
Yeah. No, he's going to give you a mic because we have to have it for Facebook.
My name is Chris Martin. Being a new member of this church, I do not know what DCE stands for. Could you explain that?
Director of Christian Education. Last year, I believe it was at the June meeting, the congregation voted to start a call committee and talk about the possibility of hiring a full-time DCE for the church. They will be making a report later on.
Vicki will give us a report on that.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Check.
And 2 of those items that were discussed in that, we will be talking about the insurance a little bit later under new business, as well as Vicki Banky will be giving us a report on the DCE. Okay, we need to get a motion to accept Kim's report. And Jim seconded. All in favor? Say by aye. Anyone opposed? Motion unanimously carried. Thank you. Okay. I want to give a report on what the council's done since our last meeting in December. We've done actually quite a few things, so we won't be hitting all of them, but believe me, we've had lots of challenges. And I feel personally that we've addressed all those challenges and we've resolved them all to our best ability that our current council has. And believe me, we've had a great council. You guys have had a great council. we've all worked together really well and accomplished quite a few things. So anyway, just a kind of a brief thing of what's happened and some of the expenses that Kim had brought up. One of the main ones would be that on Easter service, we had the sewer line back up here at the church. Some of you are aware of it. We had to have that repaired, so we hired a gentleman at Easy Rooter who came in and relined the pipe because the pipe was starting to deteriorate, and it's been relined all the way from the church down to the street at the main connection. So that was a large expense. I think we spent almost $9,000 on that repair, or $8,000 some odd dollars. So that was one of the big ones, but we do have it all fixed now. Going forward, we shouldn't have any more problems with that. You want to say something with that?
Well, no, this is going to be something else when you're done. Just so everybody's aware, the Facebook meeting that was going on, that was being broadcast, interrupted and is now no longer working. So we are going to have to go back to the secretary's report and read the minutes and have them approved so they're read on the record. So once we're done with this, we're going to have to go back to that.
Okay, so second, we've had some HVAC concerns this last winter with the heating system, and we did have it inspected. There was some concerns of replacing the units. I've gotten involved myself in it as well, and last Friday, well, let me back up a little bit. Last February, we had a piece of insulation inside the ductwork had come loose, and it hit some electrical connections up there and actually caused a small fire and burn up there. And that was taken care of. And it was all in the ductwork right behind these lights right here. It wasn't in the heating unit or the air conditioning unit, it was all in the ductwork. I went up there last Friday to inspect it again because it was brought to my attention last Sunday that there was still some smell in the church when the AC kicked on that smelled like electrical burn. And it's residue left over from that. And we replaced the filters in the system in both those units. Both those units have been inspected. They work fine. So it was strictly a ductwork issue. So if you do smell that, please don't be alarmed. You could bring it to my attention again. But we replaced the filters on Friday, so it has brand new filters in it on all the air conditioning systems throughout the church. We're all done. So anyway, if you have any concerns with that, if you smell that, that's what's going on. So we think that there's still a little bit of that coming through the system. So outside of that, the heaters and the AC is working great. So I think we're fine with that. A few of you have mentioned it to me, and we're already aware of it, the water in the parking lot. I know you probably saw it coming in this morning. We have 2 leaks in our drip system, down watering all the plants in those planters. Those, we're going to cap one of them off this afternoon that's leaking in the top one, creating most of the water, and we'll get the rest of them repaired this week. And so that should be all fixed by next Sunday. Some of the other things that have been done that Jim and Buzz have been involved with is you'll notice this coming week it should be all completed. At the end of the music room, when you go out the exit door of the music room, there's no railing there and it's rather dangerous. So there's going to be a handrail that's all installed by Martin Ironworks. It's already been put together. It's ready to be assembled, and they'll be putting it in this week. So that'll go the length of the sidewalk all the way to the parking lot, and we'll join in with the handrail and the stairs going down. So that'll be fixed too. So I know Jim has been working quite a bit on that, and thank you for that as well. Another thing that has been done just recently is it came to my attention a couple of times. A few of the ladies were working in the kitchen, and our oven was leaking, had a gas leak in our range. That was all repaired last Monday. We did put new valves in there, and the gas leak has been repaired. Did you have your hand up? No. Okay, so that's done as well. So I know we have many things that we've done through council this year, and I'm happy to say that I think we've got pretty much everything accomplished. You'll find out 2 more things that we've been working on that we'll get votes on later in this meeting. So that's basically my report for what we've done at council. I don't want to get into depth because we'd be here probably for 2 or 3 hours in what we've actually done. So do you want to bring that up now at this time? What you mentioned? Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go back up again to the approval and the reading of the minutes from the previous congregational meeting. So there's a couple options here. I can grab the notes and read them to you. Oh, first of all, sorry, my mistake. Everybody knows who I am. No, I'm Jonathan Mcrae. I am the president-elect right now until the end of the meeting, where I will then be your church council president for the next year. I'm married to my wife, Sarah Mcrae, for 15 years. I have 3 children. I now have a high schooler, 14-year-old daughter, Madeline, who is going to be going to AACT this year, which is the Academy of Arts and Technology School. My son, AJ, is going into 7th grade, and my youngest daughter, Jillian, who read at the 8:30 service, is going into 2nd grade. So, but when the Kesters were retiring and moving on to their next phase of life into Tennessee, my wife and I are talking about, so I've been going to this church for 16 years. Been members for probably 14, but Pastor Mike married my wife and I 15 years ago. So I'm very much involved and deep-seated in this community and in what you guys want. So that's who I am. But again, to reiterate, the Facebook meeting, so to make sure that we're on the up and up, that meeting, it disconnected, it's not going through. So we have 2 options. I can read the minutes, or someone from the congregation can give me a motion to waive. There's 2 parts to this. Waive the reading of the minutes and have them posted. It's kind of how we can do that. So who would like to give a shot at that? Okay.
Buck Yeager, and I move that we waive the reading of the minutes and that we post the minutes.
Second? Got a second? All right. Ted, so we have a first and a second. So all in favor of the motion on the floor? Aye. All that opposed? Charisse. Perfect. My first meeting minutes have got dissension in the ranks already. Motion carries. I know she doesn't get to vote. All right, motion carries. Thank you so much. Do you want me to do the PLI update then?
We can do that now.
Or Vicki, do you want to go next?
You're already up here. Okay. We're going to have John give us an update on the PLI.
All right, John Mcrae for the PLI, which used to be called Pastoral Leadership Institute. Pastors used to go there for their continuing education units. And then most of you realize there's not a lot of people going into pastoral work, a lot of laymen, a lot of lay women who have that passion to spread the word of Jesus Christ in the Great Commission to the community. So there are 9 of us, my wife and I included, who are been going through this process, and it will be ending in October. It's been 3 years, 2.5 years, it'll end in October. Now, people are like, well, now what are you going to do? Well, the point of that training was to give us the tools so that we as a group can speak together when we start talking about how do we manage the Great Commission, and realizing that where you sit in your life with the people around you is where Jesus wants you to be. Church, yes, is this building and is this group. But when you're playing, where's my pinochle group? When you're playing pinochle and that you bring somebody new, that's church. Where more than 2 are gathered, he is with us. There are more opportunities than you realize that you can shine a light into this world. And it's like Josh spoke, after the last 3 weeks, there need to be a lot more lighthouses. And realize that you are capable of that. And that's what really PLI, in my mind, is coming down to, is giving us and empowering us to realize that the neighbor across the street that maybe you take garbage out for, or help clean up the grass, or you're hanging out with on a Saturday night with a Miller Lite, You can talk to them about God, and you can talk to them about Jesus, and you can talk to them about how something greater than them loves them unconditionally, and not be afraid that, oh, I don't know all the right words. That's why we were given, on Trinity Sunday, that's why we were given the gift of the Holy Spirit. I can tell you how many times in the last year I've had conversations with people, and I call Josh and I'm like, I have no idea what just happened, but I just talked to somebody for 45 minutes and they poured their heart into me, and I don't know what happened. It's the gift of the Holy, it's just recognizing that point. So I know it's been a line item, and this church has been, and this congregation's been very helpful with funding part of that and allowing my wife and the other 7 of us to go to the conferences and the trainings. We're hosting another one in October here, so we're going to have other churches coming in again, just like we did a year and a half ago. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. The key takeaway, though, is you have more power than you realize, because you have a Father who's never stopped loving you. And take that into the world, because God knows the world needs it. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Does have any other questions on the PLI?
We have a question.
Vicki Banky. I know that the Culpeppers have hosted, are they here? Not anymore. Anyway, they hosted a couple of Saturdays to share this PLI information with parishioners. Are there going to be any more events like this so that you can kind of, in a nutshell, share your training and your expertise?
So for right now, my wife and I are actually taking the Oikos leadership group through this process. So that's another avenue. And yeah, absolutely, I can talk to as many people as you want, as many Saturdays as you want about this, or Sundays after church. So we'll definitely make sure we keep pouring into the congregation.
Thank you.
Vicki, while you're standing, would you like to give your report
Okay.
on the DCE?
If I had a hat, I'd switch one right now. Vicki Banky again. Should I come up there or? Yeah. Okay. Oh.
Following you.
The force is with me. Okay, so I'm going to be. Oh, yes, thank you. The Lutheran response, yes. So I'm reporting on the call committee. We voted last June to move forward with hiring a new staff member. And last September, we had a preliminary committee that was going to assess what you saw as a congregation our needs would be. So we did a survey, which I think it was something in the 70 surveys that came back. And we went through this and compiled a list of ideas to move forward. And then that committee disbanded, and we now have an actual call committee that's headed by Mike Ehlert, who's not available today. But, okay, so this is the call committee, the people who are at our meeting. Bill Schmauder, Jordan Imgard, Emily Hours, Emily Kester, Vicki Banky, and Mike Ehlert. Christy Spiker is on that too. Yeah. So anyway, we had the meeting, and basically we brought the people up to date who had not been on the first committee, and we discussed 2 areas. The first being what the qualities of the individual should be, personal qualities, and second, an idea of what the duties of this staff person would be. And the group felt that the new staff member should possess the following qualities. They should be a people person, young at heart, flexibility in working style and time, professional, outgoing, and have the ability to teach using different methods and styles. So that was the personal qualities. And then in terms of duties, the staff member should be able to support the Odyssey program, the junior and senior high, and college-age youth. The ideal candidate could also minister to young families, equip new members to help run youth programs, and a leader to direct and fill programs. So we were going back and forth between having a DCE, Director of Christian Education, or an associate pastor who would be mainly a youth pastor. And we don't really want to close any doors to either position. The duties would be quite a bit overlapping, whether it's a DCE or a pastor. However, as a pastor, they might have other duties that could relieve Josh, like if he's on vacation, you know, to preach sometimes and to be able to consecrate the elements in a communion. So that wouldn't really be something, well, a DC could do some of those things. But anyway, we decided not to get bogged down into the position itself, but rather the duties that this person would fulfill and the type of person that we would find. And that hit a little bit of a snag because the district doesn't want to give us names for DCEs and pastors. They want us to choose, but we're hopefully going to find a way around that. But the consensus of the group at the time, at the last meeting, was that perhaps an associate pastor would fit our needs better. But like I said, we don't want to close the door. If the perfect person is a DCE, we want to remain open to that. Any questions? Good.
Thank you.
I'll take it back to Tom.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Vicki. Okay, so that, now we'll move on into old business. Oh.
If anyone has a name of a pastor or DCE that they'd like to submit, we don't need to just get the name from the district. We can get the names from a member of the congregation. So if you want to submit a name, you can put it, I think maybe, where's Sharice? Okay, maybe Sharice would be the best person to give it to, and she'll give it to one of the committee members, Mike Ehlert or me. So please, you know, see this fellow over here, Pastor Josh? That's how we got him, by a submission from somebody in the congregation, not from the district. So God works through you as well as through the district. Sometimes better that way.
Thank you, Vicki. So one other item I'd like to bring up on old business, because I think it's kind of old business still, is I would like to thank Daryl Armith, our, Stewardship Committee Chairman, and two other gentlemen that helped him, along with Kim and Sharice. They spent many, many hours on our audit that was done, and we got that completed last month. And they spent, like I said, many hours, and it was done very well and very acceptable. So thank you, Daryl. Also with him, I want to get the last names correct, was Steve Tate and Joe Krelick. So thank you guys very much. So that's what I have for old business. Does anybody have anything they would like to bring up at this time for old business that we might be missing? No? Okay, good. So new business, I'm going to ask, we have a donation coming in, and I'm going to ask my wife Nancy to discuss it. The intention of the donation is to go to our van, and I can talk a little bit about what our thoughts are, what we're going to do after she discusses it. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nancy O'Brien. How many of you are aware of Ruth Guild? Raise your hand, please. Oh, that's a lot. How many of you are aware of LWML? That's a good thing. I wish there were some younger people here instead of, yeah. Okay, so we just had the district convention. It was held at the Nugget, and it was our district. And I have to put my glasses on, sorry. As Ruth Guild members here at church, which any member of our female member is welcome to join our Ruth Guild. And when you are a member of our Ruth Guild, you are automatically become a member of LWML, which is Lutheran Women's Missionary League. these ladies, we collect mites. I'm sure you're aware of the story in the Bible of the widow and the mite. And that's what our mites are based on. And we gather coins. And the LWL, there are grants that are proposed for a 2-year program. So we just got through with the one convention. All of those grants were, have been funded. So our district funded 22 grants for a total of $124,000. As of today, all of the grants have been funded. So our own Pam Alvey wrote up a grant that was accepted, and it was for $10,000 for our tutoring program van. And the van is also used for youth gatherings. It hauls kids, it hauls our Ruth Guild ladies when we go singing for Christmas time. It takes the youth group on their different gatherings. And it is primarily used for tutoring, which is that still twice a week? Okay, so once a week. It was 2 before COVID hit. So the grant, the way it was written was, is to be seed money for a new van, but some of the funds are also to be used for, to add a backup camera for the van to make it safe, and running boards if that's possible, because it is very hard for us to get in, and Linda Oliver's like me, to get in and out of the van. It's kind of dangerous. We put this little plastic step out, but so I didn't see in the budget where the $10,000 check was deposited. Where's Kim? You haven't received it yet. Okay.
It will actually probably go onto the balance sheet because there's no corresponding expenses to go along with it.
Okay.
So it'll just be reserves.
Specifically for the van.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
New line item.
Okay, so I just wanted everyone to know that that grant was coming in. A big, huge thank you to Pam for writing that up. And also, Ruth Guild hosts coffee hour every quarter, and the money is to go to our mites. So it's the one coffee hour where we do ask for donations. So when you see all of the ladies dressed in purple, and we are actually going to be professional this time and have our own name badges. And then there'll be a big box out there that is the mite box. And we just ask you to drop in your coins. And if you would like to donate to mites outside of those coffee hours, it's probably going to be easier if you write a check or give the cash to Charisse, and then she can get it to our Ruth Guild treasurer. So, and I just wanted to let you know that the grant goal for 22-24 is $108,000. And with everybody's help, they will meet the goals. And the goals are not just local here, it is worldwide. One of the grants they funded was for sewing machines for ladies in Africa. And each lady, as they graduate from this program, receives a brand new treadle sewing machine to take to her home where she can sew clothing to help support her family. So it's a great program. So thank you.
I guess you don't want to take any questions. You don't want to take any questions. Well, thank you, Nancy. Very good. Thank you, Nancy, and all of you. So we do have some repairs, as Nancy mentioned, some safety issues, and then some regular repairs that we're going to do to the van. I took it out a couple weeks ago to kind of give it a run through. It does have very low miles on it, but we're going to go ahead and get brakes put on it, get it tuned up, some new windshield wipers and things like that, along with this grant when we get it. Chuck? It probably does. That's 20 years, right? Yeah, I think it does. But it is really in good shape, so we have found that we don't think it needs to be replaced. Just a little bit of update done to it. Anybody have any questions on that? John, you stood up or nothing? Okay. Okay. So anyway, so we have a recommendation for the council, the new council members. And I think at this time we can go ahead, and I don't know if we have any nominations from the floor. We had not received anything at council outside of what we have on the slate that we issued to you. So does anybody from the floor wish to come forward to be on council in any of the positions? Charisse, you had your hand up. So you'll see our slate there in a minute when we see that, when we do that. Oh. I'd like to do one thing before we make a motion. For the slate, is that what you wanted to do? Okay. So before we do that, you'll see that myself, I'll be retiring, and thank you very much for allowing me to be the president this year, and the year prior to be House president-elect. I've enjoyed it, so thank you. So, thank you very much. So, and you've met John, who is going to be taking over as president after this meeting, or actually effective, I think, July 1st is the technical part. So going forward, for head elder, Tom Tallur has graciously volunteered to be on council for 2 more years. So thank you. Vicki Benke has also agreed to serve another 2 years. And Pam Alvey has agreed to do this again. So thank you all. Retiring will be Jim Ayers, and I want to personally thank Jim for a great job for all the years you've done this. He and Buzz and their team have done a great job in keeping our church operating and in good repair. So thank you so much. So now we can go ahead and present the slate, our recommendation. I'm sorry? Oh, Kurt, well, that's on the slate. So each person, I don't know if you want to make, is that what your nomination, or I mean your motion was going to be to accept the slate? Okay. So added to the slate is myself. I would like to be the new property chairman to come in and fill Jim's shoes after he is retiring. And also our new president-elect, Kurt Mathis. There he is right here. If you'd stand up, please. He is our recommendation from council to be our next president-elect. Charisse? Okay, good. Okay, good, thanks. I got it right then.
He also goes by Hey You.
Perfect. I think we all do. So Nancy, then, were you going to say something about making a motion for that?
I make a motion that we approve the slate of officers as presented.
Okay, thank you. Seconded. All in favor? Signify by aye. Okay. So passed unanimously. Thank you. I would like to. I don't know if this is the time. We have to guess. Charisse? Didn't? Oh, do we have any opposed? Sorry. I missed that. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. Now it's unanimous. Thank you. You still want to vote? We got all the ballots. Okay. So with that motion, we don't have to vote. I know. That's why I asked you that. So, right. That's what I was. So we probably still need to do that.
So obviously there are no positions being challenged with each other. First of all, by no one coming to the floor saying, hey, I want to be considered. So we have a motion and have an approved motion to accept the slate of officers as presented. We could have you all do your ballots, count them all, and tell you who you know, if it passed. Mm-hmm. Or we can have a motion that basically approves by, what was the word you used? A vote of acclamation for the slate of candidates for your next council. So if we would like to do that, I need a motion from the floor and a second and then a vote. So,
Kim made the motion.
all right, say your name and make the motion.
Kim Cantucci, and I move that we vote by verbal acclamation to elect the 5 people who are nominated for the council.
Do I hear a
have a
second?
second?
Okay. Chris Martin gave us a second.
Any question on that?
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion
Not
carried
you,
unanimously.
Sharice.
How was that, Sharice? Good? Well, I was gonna bring this up during the counting of the votes, but during our annual audit, we found an error that we were doing with one of our staff members, and that's Megan Gibson. Megan Gibson is on our health insurance presently. Megan is a 25-hour-a-week person who has been on our policy this last year, and the state, well, let me back up. She pays for it 100% herself, the premium, but she is on our group health. Under the state law and through our insurance brokers, we have found out that we cannot do that, have an individual on there who does not work a minimum of 30 hours. So I've met with Megan, along with Candy Keel, has come to a couple meetings with us, and we've discussed this with Megan, and we as council are recommending that we make a motion today that we get Megan on our group health insurance to keep her insurance going for her family. She has agreed that at this point, she will work the additional 5 hours a week to receive this insurance. Our recommendation is that we take her hourly rate that she makes for 25 hours a week, and she's agreed for that same amount of money to be her salary for 30 hours to get the insurance. The cost of that, I think Kim has the exact number, but the cost to St. Luke's annually, and this also includes the increase that you heard earlier of our health insurance of a 19% increase. So it does include that. So Kim, you want me to give you a minute, or do you have it?
Oh, I've
You
got
right
it.
there?
I've
Okay,
got
so
it. I come prepared.
This will be the increase.
I've been a teacher for way too long not to come to class prepared. The annual cost, just our half, because she's not a called worker. Our policy is that she would pay one half of her premium, and then we would pay the other half as a church. That comes to $11,128. And that does not include any escalation. That is just from July 1st to June 30th of next year. $11,128.
And that's the full, that's the 50%.
That is the 50%.
That's the cost that it will cost St. Luke's to do this. Insurance is very expensive, so. Yes, question?
Do you have a question?
Yeah, we're gonna be asking for a motion for this, that we go forward to keep her on our insurance and keep her family insured going forward. Chuck?
Okay. So how this is going to go, we're going to need a motion.
Okay.
We'll do
Make a motion, then we'll go to
Yeah, so
questions.
we're going to do motions first, and then we'll have questions on the motion, okay? Well, just so everybody doesn't get that they're not getting heard.
I move to approve this as presented. Chuck Alvey.
Thank you.
We're going to need a second.
Seconded by Nancy.
Okay.
Nancy O'Brien, second.
All right. Call for the questions.
Questions? Oh,
Oh, sorry.
Discussion.
Discussion. Sorry.
discussion, right.
Wrong part of the book.
Yep, discussion.
My name is Steve Tate, so I've got a couple questions for discussion. The numbers again. So Kim, you're saying if we accept this motion and approve it, what's the cost impact to the church?
The cost impact to the church is $11,128. $28 starting July 1st and going to June 30th of next year, $11,000.
Did the council look at, the lady's name is Megan, right?
Yes.
We want to ask her to work 5 more hours. Why didn't we look at paying her for those 5 more hours?
She has agreed, and I've met with her along with Candy. She has agreed at this time, because of the cost, the expense to the church, this large amount. Like I said earlier, she has agreed and has no problem with doing this just for the insurance right now. And then we can address at the meeting in November where we do everyone's salaries if
Okay.
we find the need to do an increase.
What would have been the cost impact if the council had agreed for her to get compensated for those 5 extra hours per week?
I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $8,000 to $9,000 additionally.
$7,600 and change.
So the council
20%.
The council's telling the congregation, you cannot afford $20,000 to help this individual out. Is that correct?
No, we did not address it to her that way at all. We wanted to present it today to this congregation to a vote to at least get her the insurance necessary.
Yeah, we're trying to be as fiduciarily responsible that you have charged us with. This is just, it's a situation where, as of July 1, if we don't do something, Beckett and those kids don't have insurance.
Okay.
She's
So we're
agreed
trying.
just
So we're
to-
trying to get to the first step, and
Right.
we also don't want to come here and say, "Hey, we need 20 grand," particularly because we do have a budgetary meeting coming up in November where we discuss everybody's salary. There have been previous meetings where if we start talking about one group of individuals' pay, then we can. You guys are the boss. You know, it just gets a little out of hand. As of right now, as Kim said, we're hoping with God's grace that we get to it through the budgetary process in the black, and where we need to have challenges and we need to have extras that will be provided for us. But we're just trying to get her insurance July 1, and that's the point.
Thank you. I have trouble in my own business when I have to meet with ladies, girls, women about these things. The trouble I have is what the same thing happened with Megan. Megan was so happy, she was in tears that she was going to get insurance. So that's what we decided to do at council at this time, that we take care of her there first.
Any other questions?
Somebody just asked me a clarifying question on the budget here, because I have on here for a proposed 2022 budget for the communications director. The health insurance is $5,564. That is for 6 months. So that's why I said it's $11,100 for the year.
Yeah, Scott Cantachesi. My question would be, if we decide to approve the motion, how are we going to pay for it?
Just like we pay any other bills. We will put it in the budget to increase the insurance to take care of that. I don't know if.
What I have done to balance the budget for this year is I have taken half of the Christian education director off, because obviously we're not paying them for the first 6 months of the year since they're not here. So I have reduced that to $24,000, and I have moved the money to the health insurance for pastor's increase for him and his family, Sharice and hers, and to add Megan. And that will give us a cash surplus of $16,851. That's it.
I don't, from what I see and when I've been with the council and as far as the finances go, it certainly is not an issue financially to St. Luke's at this time to take care of one of our own in such a huge need of needing insurance for her family. I think we're more than able to do this.
Any other questions?
I firmly believe that our main concern right now is taking care of those who are on our staff. I know we're looking to maybe add on. That has to be a secondary consideration. We have got people that are working for us now that are depending upon us. And we need to consider them before we consider, bringing somebody else on and asking them, with what resources that we would have, and I don't know how much that's going to be, honestly. So that's why I'm asking you to approve the budget with only $24,000 for a DCE or whoever, because we don't really have too much more than that to pay.
And for me, from the PLL side, I would say we have a flock to tend to. We're going to continually have to deal with this cycle of insurance and pay constantly. And if we're worried about whether or not the fields are going to produce, we're not going to even understand that we're not in charge. The Lord is. And every time we've challenged ourselves as a congregation, we've rallied. And there's people in here that remember. I'm going to break out an old Mike Binking story. There's people in this congregation that remember when they used to post the power bill on the wall. Okay? We answer the bell. All right? All we're asking for is this consideration so that when I come to you as the president with a proposed budget in November, recognizing tough questions and decisions are going to have to be made. But in reality, those aren't for today. For today is we're coming to you as a council to make sure that Megan Gibson and her children keep their insurance. And it's not just keep their insurance, it's to keep Beckett's specialists. And I'm sure you know who Beckett is. And it's to keep those kids in their same spot without changing providers. So that's what we're asking for.
Jim has a question.
Jim, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Are you going to call for the vote? Okay. Are there any other questions?
Another question here.
Sure.
My name is Jackie White. I'm a new member. How critical is it to have this DCE when we're already tight on budget?
Vicki, would you like to speak on that? And before Vicki does, I want to bring up one item that we voted on and made a motion on that is some monies that we still have. Last, I think it was the December meeting, we voted on the White House next door needing windows throughout. We passed $20,000 for that. The BPM, the current BPM, a couple months ago decided that we did not need to do that. There's actually 2 or 3 windows, 3 or 4 I should say, that need to be repaired. So that $20,000 has not been spent. So there is $20,000 in our budget that is in reserves that is not going to be used at this time.
Okay. St. Luke's has had a DCE for at least 50 years, probably longer. And our last DCE was Mary Williams. She left a couple of years ago. And we've had a tremendous group of volunteers that have been running Odyssey, have been teaching Bible classes, have been working with the youth, junior high and senior high. They need support. They need professional guidance. We want to keep those people active that have been so gracious to volunteer their time, but we don't want them to burn out. They've been doing a tremendous job, but we need a professional support person on staff to keep going the programs that we have here and to expand. It's very difficult for one person to do that. Pastor Josh, he's got many other duties, and we have the tradition of having had an extra called worker here in the form of a DCE. So I think it's very important that we do. Plus, we've already voted on it last June that we were going to move forward with this position. And to say what John here was saying, and there's middle ground between Kim and John. Kim keeps us financially responsible, but John has, and many others of you, have the heart to challenge what our budget is and what we can do. And in the past, the Lord has always provided, and I trust that He's going to come through for us again when we do get this new person.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Oh, sorry. Put your hand up.
Yeah, my name is Scott Canachesi. I guess my concern would be, and I'm in favor of covering our people, and I'm in favor of coming up with the money, but this is an ongoing expense. We've got a position that hasn't been filled. We know that the CPI is absolutely crazy this year, and the people that work for us are going to expect some kind of COLA. I'm not suggesting we need to give them 8.5, but I'm sure 0 is not an option. So we have to allow for the possibility of maybe $25,000 more in COLA on the people that work for the church. I would hope the original person that made the original, or the person that made the original amendment would add to take the DCE out of the budget until the next year.
Okay, any other questions?
Vicky has a question. John?
Okay. Can you hand that over?
In all honesty, the call committee has been working at a very slow pace. We had the preliminary assessment committee, and now we have the call committee. We haven't gotten anything back from the district. Summer is the time when not much happens anyway, in terms of meetings and moving forward with a process like this. So in all honesty, I don't think that we would even be calling someone until after the first of the year. I mean, just my assessment. And when we called Josh, we got what we needed, and we got the best of all worlds, but we did call some other people who said no first. So even if we call a DCE, there's no guarantee that that first person would come.
Yeah, to add to the point here, the DCE position was voted on last cycle. We're going through that cycle. In November, when we are at the point to talk about true budgetary costs of positions and insurance, we're going to have a better picture of not one, what it cost us, but two, all the other ancillary things that we're a quarter through the budget, we're a third through the budget, we're a third through the year, the church year. So those kind of conversations need to keep continually happening amongst you, but the real kicker for that is in November when we call the budgetary committee, or we call that budget meeting for the congregation. So,
John,
any other?
I'd like to move forward.
Yeah,
if we can.
so-
And we do have the motion on the floor, seconded, and then Jim called for the vote.
Okay, so Jim Aaron's called for the vote. So,
Yes. Any other comments?
you can vote.
Do it by hand. By voice.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, Chuck, could you say it one more time? You
All right.
remember?
Thanks, Chuck.
I don't think I said it the first time because I was saying what you proposed. I make a motion that we increase Megan's, the Director of Marketing's, or I don't know what her title is, Megan's hours to 30 to allow her to get the insurance, and that we pay the half that we pay for her health insurance.
Yes,
Did I get it all?
yes.
Salary.
Yeah, her salaried.
She's going from hourly to salary. Correct.
So the motion on the floor is to change our Director of Communication from a 25-hour hourly position to a 30-hour, no, to a
Full-time salary.
full-time salaried position and
30
cover to 30 hours to
Right.
cover the half of the insurance that, as per our policy, for full-time employees.
Yes, right. And do we have a second still? Nancy seconded it? Okay.
Okay.
We have the second right behind you.
No, we don't have to have a second. for the
Nancy
vote.
seconded it, correct? Okay. All in favor of this motion, signal by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you, everyone.
And truly, Megan and her family will thank you. Okay, that's all I have. Does anybody else want to add anything with any other business we might have missed? Yes.
On behalf of a very grateful congregation, I would like to thank Sean for his leadership this last 12 months. As he said, we've had a lot of really difficult things that have come up, and he's handled them with grace and carried us through, and I just think that everybody, owes him a big amount of gratitude.
Daryl has a question.
Daryl Armith. I just wanted to give a round of thanks for Pam and her efforts on the Dixie fire. It was pretty substantial, and thank her.
If you don't mind, I feel compelled just to comment. We didn't give a gift to Megan. We're getting value for that. So we're helping one of our own, but we're getting value for that too. This isn't a charitable gift.
Absolutely.
One of the things I've considered is that the job that Megan originally took was greatly changed with COVID and the system of the podcasts and everything like that. I think her 25 hours grew to be quite a bit. But this is also something that we have to consider when we're looking for a DCE or an assistant pastor, that I think this program should continue to go forward perpetually. And we're probably going to want to look for someone that would be able to get up there and work that equipment and expand that program so that St. Luke's could become a much greater influence in the city of Reno.
Thank you.
Nicely said.
Okay, in closing, I'm going to ask Pastor Josh to close our meeting for us.
Just before that, I want to say thank you to all the council, all the elders, all the leadership who've worked so hard in this last year, helping us move out of the transition of isolation back into full functioning ministry. And though it looks different, it is radically different. It's been a blessing. And I think we need to also thank all of the staff who have rallied, they've booted, they've figured it out, they've been pushing through to find new beginnings. And without Sharice's help, without Brittany's help, without Julie and all the janitorial staff, we would not be keeping things going. So let's give them a round of applause and our gracious thank you, along with Megan. And let's go ahead and do the benediction, the doxology instead. How about that? Let's do the doxology. I saw Vicky was like doxology because that's her favorite. So we're all going to sing together. Brittany, do you want to lead us? Get me to the right note, or should I just do it? Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him above, ye heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen. Ooh, listen to that harmony. You're all invited to the choir. She'd love to have 30 more. Go in peace, serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.